Huh? Again. And now the screen's gone blue. Everything's coming up rosy. And can I factor there? No, I can't even factor there, can I? The only place I can factor is there, which gives me what I need. What does this guy need? 2x squared plus 50 plus, what does this guy need? X minus 7, which is x squared, what? Minus 2x minus 35 equals, does this guy need anything? 2x squared minus 12x minus 9. 2x squared on one side, 2x squared on the other side. Oh, but there's a plus there. So I can't just cancel, or can I just cancel? Does it matter? If I collect this, then I'm canceling that out and I'm left with an x squared anyway, right? So I can go ahead and cancel there. Goodbye, goodbye. 50 minus 35, what's that? X squared minus 2x plus 15 equals negative 12x minus 9. Now what? Collect like terms. What is it? Plus 10x plus 24. Factor. Plus 6. X plus 4 equals 0. What does x equal? Oh, crap. I didn't realize I had two of them there. What does x equal? Negative 4, negative 6. Do they work? Are they okay? Yeah. So that's worth 3 because you had to do algebra as well. Over here. This one always messes with you. What is the denominator there? 1. You've got to remember to change it to, right? Now there's a couple of things you could do here, right? If you change just this one and add these, you could cross multiply, right? You're allowed to do that. A great many of you are uncomfortable with changing the way you solve a problem because you've got a comfortable way you're used to doing it, right? Even if there's an easier way to do it, some of you don't like to change, yeah? So how do you want to go through this? Do you want to do the cross multiply thing or do you want to change everything? Cross multiply thing, okay. If I'm going to do the cross multiply thing, I only have to count about this side, yes? So what's the common denominator there? X minus 4. So I get 5x, x minus 4, plus 2x minus 8, all over x minus 4, yes? Which is 7x minus 8 over x minus 4 equals 3x plus 8 over x minus 4. Now I would have to cross multiply. Yeah? And that means a lot of foiling, right? Is it okay? Could we do it? Sure we could. All right, but in this case, because it would end up with FOIL, it's more work, isn't it? Right? If this was just x over 2x or something like that, easy peasy. But because we've got FOIL involved, it could get yucky, right? Everybody understand what I'm saying? So the flip side of that thing about how you all like to do something because you're comfortable with it, and even if there's an easier way, you don't want to try it. The flip side of that is some of you are always looking for what you think is the easier way. And you see a fraction here, and you see you could add them together and then cross multiply. So you think, oh, that's going to be the easier way. Everybody understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Both pitfalls here. So should we continue here? Or do you want me to go back to the way that we usually solve these? I need to know from you, or do you want me just to continue and see if you get the right answer? I need you people to input here. Continue? All right. So that is 7x squared minus 28x minus 8. 7x squared minus 36x plus 32 equals 3x squared minus 12x plus 8x minus 4x minus 32. Right? And then what would we do there? Collect like terms. 4x squared, I'm bringing everything over here, minus 32x plus 64, right? What's coming out of there? 4x squared minus 8x plus 16, yeah? Factor that. X, 4x minus 4 squared, right? So what's my equals 0? So what's my answer? X equals 4, except, can x equal 4? X can't equal 4, so therefore, no solution. Now, did anybody want to see this the way we usually do it instead of the cross multiply, or is everybody okay? The usual way? Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for. It's Friday. You guys want me to stall so we don't start anything new anyway. Because I remember being 17 and being in a math class on Fridays. I know what it is like. Even though you all think I don't remember what it is like because you think that I'm old. What? That'll be out of 3 as well. So, to do it the old way, or the way we're used to doing it, we got to think about everything, right? It's still x minus 4, yeah? So we still have 5x plus 2x minus 8 equals 3x plus 8, right? Right? Collect your like terms. 7x minus 8 equals 3x plus 8. 4x minus 16 equals 0. 4x minus 4 equals 0. Still the same thing. Okay? Now please notice that's actually less steps this time. But sometimes it's more. So you got to look at the question. You have to know. No, that's not what I want to say because you don't know an answer. You have to have an idea about the roadmap you're going to take, right? And if you've got bi or trinomials over here, then cross multiplying becomes onerous, right? Okay. All right, let's talk about Andrew and Ferry. Remember, there's 2 ways to do these questions too, yes? You could say, you could use a rate. And Andrea's rate is 1 popcorn per 25 minutes, yes? And Fari, I don't know how that would be said. His rate is 1 peacorn per 20 minutes, yes? We are trying to find how long they will eat it together, which would be the same 1 peacorn in how many minutes? I don't know. So it becomes 1 over 25 plus 1 over 20 equals 1 over t. And then we solve. What's the common denominator? 25 and 20? 100. So that is 5 plus, 4 plus 5 equals what? 1 over t, yes? So what is it? Nine equals what? 1 over t. So 9t equals 1. That's what it is. So t equals what? 1/9? They're going to eat the whole thing of popcorn in 0.111 of a minute? What's wrong with what we've done here? What is it? Why is it 9 over 100? Because you got to change this common denominator, yes? Okay, so it's still 9 over 100 equals 1 over t. Now, 9t equals 100, and t equals 100 over 9. Is that a time? Make it a time. It's 11:11 forever, right? 11:11, make a wish.
11 minutes, 6 seconds.
Which is 11 minutes, 6 seconds. Everybody cool?
Seconds again, you divide by
60. No, you multiply by 60. 0.11 times 60.
Okay.
Right? Now, the other way to do it is, of course, if you flip the rate, right? T over 25 plus T over 20 equals 1 bag of popcorn, right? Because Andrea can eat 1/25 of a bag in a minute. And Vari can eat 1/20 of a bag in a minute. Together, they're going to eat 1 whole bag of popcorn. But you'll notice you get the same answer, right? Because the common denominator is 100, so you multiply that by 4, you multiply that by 5, you multiply that by 100, and then you get 4t plus 5t equals 100, 9t equals 100, t equals 100 over 9. Do I care which way you do it? It all comes down to what you understand, yes? If you understand rates, use the rates. If you understand that Andrea is going to take some fraction out of 25 to eat her share of the popcorn, then do this. I don't care which way you do it, right? Because as you can see, we ended up with the same answer. All right, physics question. We need what? As soon as we see some physics, what do we need to remember? DST, right? Now, do you need the chart? No. Some of you are already to the point where you don't need it. I still do the chart, because even with ones where I see it right away, they can get harder. So I use the chart. It's no shame. D, S, T. And what are our options up here? They are with the wind. So if they're with the wind, is it helping or hurting them? Helping. So that would be an add, right? If they're against the wind, what's that doing? Subtracting. And then we have a total. How far do they ride their bikes? 15 and 15. Do we know how fast they rode? We don't know how fast they rode, so what must we give it? A variable. The wind helped them, how much? +3. The wind hurt them, how much? -3. What finds me time? T equals D over S. What's our D? 15 over S plus 3. What's our D, our T? 15 over S minus 3. What was our total time? A 3-hour tour. Anybody? 3-hour tour? Anyone? No one gets that? No one? A 3-hour tour? Gilligan's Island? Nothing? Is it not on Netflix? It's not? Not on Crave? Nobody has Crave. I don't know why anybody has Crave. Well, it's because they want to watch Game of Thrones. No spoilers. I've never seen one even episode of it. Not one. I'm waiting until its series ends, then I'm borrowing my buddy's DVDs. I was going to get them one at a time and watch one season at a time, but you can't anymore. You got about like 8 seasons at once. I don't want to invest like $7,000 into that show. I don't care how good it is. And I don't want to download that much. I try to avoid downloading. So no spoilers. I haven't seen even one episode, so stop. I do know that the first 5 seasons I'm not going to be able to watch with my kids, apparently. But I know, right? It's weird. I'd never seen one episode of Breaking Bad. I'm just working through it right now. Shut up. No spoilers. I'm in the 5th season. I just started. I'm 2nd episode in. They just used the magnets. Everybody, when that show came out, was like, Myers, you should watch Breaking Bad. Why? Because it's a science teacher that starts making meth, and you're a teacher. And I'm like, what are you trying to say, guy? All right. No, because I, too, would be like Walter White. I would not do it at school. That would be dumb. I would choose a better physicist, though, than Heisenberg. Although I'm a fan of Heisenberg. Heisenberg is a German physicist who was part of developing Nazi weaponry, who was then raided and brought to America after the war. Heisenberg is the man who postulates that the measurement of something changes the outcome of the measurement. Understand? The simple act of measuring some phenomenon changes the phenomenon because you are something different that wouldn't have been there if you weren't measuring it. There's a funny joke about that. Want to hear it? You won't get it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do you all know who Schrodinger is? Schrodinger's cat? He's a philosopher. He says, here's a box. And he shakes it and there's something in it. There's a cat in that box. Is it alive or dead? Which is it? You don't know. When you open the box, do you now know? So before you open that box, the cat is technically both alive and dead. Understand? All right, that sets up the joke. Here we go. Heisenberg and Schrodinger are driving down the Autobahn. They get pulled over by a cop. I won't do a German accent because it's no good. You get pulled over by the cop, and the cop says, hey, do you know how fast you were going? And Heisenberg says, you're measuring us. How can you know? Because measuring the speed changes the result. So then the cop says, oh, wise guy, eh? Open up the trunk. So they pop the trunk. He goes around to the back. He opens up the trunk and he comes back to the front and says, you guys know you got a dead cat in the trunk? And Schrodinger says, we do now. Nothing. Thank you, Isabel. Can always count on you. It wasn't a pity laugh. Isabel got it. See? Shut up your face. You got to set it up, right? Because if you don't know who Heisenberg and Schrodinger are, you can't tell the joke. Science jokes are funny, periodically. That joke never gets tired. Let's do some more math. It's Friday. That's the row we care about, right? Why did I write a 1 there?
Because it's 3.
To remind you that it's got a denominator, yes? What is the common denominator? Now, here's where you have to think. The common denominator, and I'm going to put a little blue cloud around it, so it's like Mrs. Bad Crumble. The common denominator is S plus 3, S minus 3, correct? But coming over here, that's really hard to multiply, yeah? So that's really also S squared minus 9, yeah? Which is much easier. Oh, we do now to do, yeah? So what does this guy need? S minus 3. What does this guy need? S plus 3. 15S minus 45 plus 15S plus 45 equals 3S squared minus 27. Then I do the math. Negative, positive, gone, gone. 15 plus 30S equals 3S squared minus 27. 3S squared minus 30S minus 27. Factor out the 3. 3s squared minus 10s minus 9. Does that factor? No. When it doesn't factor, what do we do? Quadratic formula. When we do the quadratic formula, we get 5 plus or minus root 34, which means we get 5 plus root 34 and 5 minus root 34. What's the root of 34? It's bigger than 5, yes? So is this going to be possible? When you run this through the quadratic formula. Okay, it's cool, man. It's cool. It's cool. I got you. 10 plus or minus the root of 100 minus 4 times 1 times negative 9 over 2. Right? 10 plus or minus the root of 136 over 2. Yes? Right? 100 plus 36. 136 breaks down into 4 times 34. So it's 10 plus or minus 4 root 34 over 2. 2, cancel, cancel. Right? 5 plus or minus, 5 plus or minus 2 root 34. Right? Yeah. Man. Because it's no, it's not a 4 that comes out. It's 2 that comes out. Because it's 4 times 34, yeah? Right? Bring out the square root of 4, it's 2. 2 cancels. I get 5 plus or minus root 34. Right? Now, 5 minus root 34 is, root of 34 is more than 5, right? Because root of 25 is 5. Can I have a negative speed? No. So the negative 1 is gone. So what's the answer? 5 plus root 34. Now, is that a real life answer? When that German cop pulled over Heisenberg and Schrodinger, did he say, you were going the square root of 987 miles an hour? No. He gave him a real speed, right? So what is it? Although, if you pulled over Schrodinger and Heisenberg, they could probably tell you what the square root of 987 miles an hour was right away. And then they would have gone, no. Or they would have gone, 9! But 9 isn't the square root of 987. So what's the answer? The root of 34 is what? It's just a little bit less than 6, right? So what's their speed? Little bit less than, no, it's 5 plus. Little bit less than 11, right? Okay. So whatever, 10.7, who cares? That's going to be out of 5. Making that page out of 6, 3 is 9, and 5 is 14. You've already told it for us? Hallie? Oh, just the last one. 14 and 10 is 24, and 15 is 39. Oh no, battery dying. Now, what are you all going to do on Tuesday? 39. What are you all supposed to do on Tuesday? Write this score on your test. What are most of you not going to do on Tuesday? Write this score on your test. Now, just to remind you, test reminders. What is the most important piece of math knowledge you can bring to this unit's party? Factoring. 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 If you still cannot factor, you are going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, let's just stop for a second and think. In grade 10, you were introduced to factoring. In grade 11, it has become the backbone of 3 units, yes? What do you think is going to happen in Pre-Calc 12? What do you think is going to happen in the basis of Calculus 12? Right. So even though it serves no real life purpose or very little, you indeed need to know how to do it if you are planning to go further in math. A great many of you in this room are planning to go further in math, so make sure you're good at factoring. Now, when I'm done talking, I'm going to assign you some work to do to get you ready for trig. But I will also write some crazy hard factoring questions on the board if you want to try some of them to see how good your factoring can, or where your factoring needs to get to. Okay? All right. So that's one. Factor, factor, factor. Factoring, factoring, factoring. The second thing you'd better be good at is the quad formula. Because what if the factoring doesn't work? Right? We have to be able to manipulate the quadratic formula. You will get it. It doesn't matter. But as always, it is negative b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. What is important in this unit about the quadratic formula? More important in this unit than when you learned about the quadratic formula. I know it's blue. Extraneous roots, right? You have to know if the answers that the quadratic formula give you, if they are okay in the situation you are doing, which means checking 2 things. What are the 2 things you have to check? You have to check for NPVs or possibility. Because in that very last question, neither answer was an MPV, was it? But one of them was impossible. So you have to check for that. Everybody with me? Yeah? The third thing you should probably be comfortable with is all of the versions of speed equals distance over time. And distance equals speed times time, and time equals speed divided by, distance divided by speed. You need to be comfortable with those. I will not provide them for you except maybe one of them. I expect you to be able to manipulate an equation by the 11th grade, yeah? All right. Let's see. What else do we have in this unit? Oh, mixture questions. Right? Those combination questions, you have a choice, right? You can do one of 2 things. You can either do the portion each thing needs to the portions each thing needs equaling 1 total, and that's the t over 20 plus t over 25 equals 1 total bag of popcorn, right? Or you do a rate, which would be 1 pcorn over sum over each time, not EHA, each time plus the same thing, I'm running out of room, equals 1 pcorn in some amount of time. And then you work that out. Your choice. And lastly, the last trick I would remind you is cross multiply if it's expedient, which means if it's a good idea. Don't marry yourself to doing every common denominator if you don't need to, but if it's going to make for a weird expansion, then maybe you don't want to cross multiply. Everybody cool? Everybody feeling good? All right, it is 10:19. You were in this class for another 35 minutes. On Monday, we begin grade 11 trigonometry. In order to do grade 11 trigonometry, your grade 10 trigonometry has to be at the level of adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know the screen is blue. You will have a very difficult time with grade 11 trigonometry if you have to waste your brain power thinking about grade 10 trigonometry. Do you understand? The next 3 pages are, and I'm going to turn the screen back on now, the next 3 pages, pages 146 to 49, is grade 10 trig. Try them, do them, work together. I don't care. If you don't want to work on it right now, don't, but you're not going to spend the day at my back desk talking. You're either going to be working on that trig, or I'm going to put up, like I said, 4 or 5 or 6 really hard factoring questions. And you can give them a shot. Okay? Okay. Go. Here are the 4 questions. I wrote them down somewhere. Where did I put the rest of them? Oh, there they are. The sixth is the hardest. They get progressively harder as you go down these 6 factoring questions. If no one is interested in trying to factor these, don't bother. It's just an exercise in stretching your brain in the factoring department. Okay? If you want to go straight to the trig, go straight to the trig. The point of doing that trig, please read what it says. It says trig initial screening, yes? Initial means first crack at it, which means I want to see what you can do without me. Because when I mark it, if 12 of you, 20 of you, whatever, get the same couple of questions wrong, obviously that needs to be redone before we move into grade 11. Yes? Everybody understand? So do not ask me about the trig. Unless it is something like, oh, Mr. Myers, I know it's supposed to be sine. I just can't remember if it's opposite over hypotenuse or opposite over adjacent or opposite over or Okay, understand what I mean? Okay, go. And by the way, the pre-dip honors 10s were able to figure out almost all of these by themselves except 5 and 6. They needed quite a bit of assistance with 5 and 6.